But you know, David had heard from the word of God. And you know what David did? When these words came to him, he declared this to the king. First, he said, "The Lord, he delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear, will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." Now, obviously, life was a giant, but the giant could be cancer, it could be depression, it could be problems in your relationships, it could be incurable disease. And so when the words come to you, David knew this, to begin to declare, hey, you know what? In the natural, I can't do it, but God is with me. And He's well able, and through His power and His word. In fact, even when the giant came against him, and we see this again in 1 Samuel 17 and 46, he said, David said, "You come against me with the sword and the spear and the javelin." And by the way, the giant said, "Come in, I'll give you flesh to the birds of the air." And, you know, David began to speak to the giant from God's perspective. "This day the Lord will hand you over to me," when it goes on. "This day, you know, the Lord will do this. For the battle is the Lord's," he goes on. "He will give you all into our hands." And so it's a powerful key. You know, what are the words? What words are you declaring over your life? Are they words of faith? Words of fear? Do you keep declaring the words of the doctors? Are you declaring the words of the giants? Or are you declaring the promises of God? But the Lord is able. You know, to never forget D.L. Moody. Who's ever heard of D.L. Moody? Great preacher. Oh man, I read every book on him. Inspired by that man. Great American revivalist. Saw revival over in Scotland and England. But you know, D.L. Moody went over to Britain. His first meeting had about 10 or 12 people. And they mocked him. And this guy who walked in after the first meeting, he mocked him. And said, he said, last meeting about 12 people. He said, "You think you can fill this place tonight?" He said, "No, I can't." But he said, "But God can." And he kept declaring, "But God can and God will." And you know what? By the time he left, it was packed and overflowing. He couldn't, but God could. And that's the principle David knew. Powerful key. What are you declaring? What are you declaring over your life, your sickness, your ministry? And you know, I want to tell you that giants have voices. The same way Goliath had a voice, cancer has a voice.